I'm Brian Anderson. Alongside Clark Kellogg and Grant Hill, Allie LaForce is our reporter. And a chance now to take a look at some numbers for Jalen Green.
And he's had a rough past 5 games. He's had trouble finding his offensive rhythm and just hasn't been as effective as he'd like to be on that end. But this is something all players go through, and I'm sure he'll fight his way back.
So the Houston starting 5. Van Fleet and Green, they're manning the backcourt. Amin Thompson out there with Dylan Brooks. And it's Şengün in at the 5 spot. And for the Pistons, Thompson and Harris are the 3 and the 4. Tim Hardaway is out there with Cunningham. And it's Duren in at the 5 down low. All right, Grant, coming down to the final few games now. This playoff push sure will be interesting.
Oh, no doubt. And I'm looking forward to it, B.A. The teams trying to make the playoffs will be going all out. And that kind of intensity in these games will be fun to watch.
Now here's Duren. Pass to Hardaway. Duren in the post. Defended by Şengün. Duren with the bucket.
You have to put a body on Duren. He's quick, he's athletic, and he has that 7'5" wingspan.
Here's Van Vliet. Duren with a rebound. Here's Harris. 14 points his last outing. Pass to Hardaway. Takes a 3. Can't get it to fall. 0 for 2 now. Brooks against Thompson. And it's Brooks missing. For Detroit, they've gone 1 for 3 so far. Thompson outside. Now Cunningham. Thompson, a screen on Van Vliet. There's Cunningham with a 3. Connects from downtown.
A pretty big component of Cunningham's game. He knows how to produce from the arc.
And make no mistake, Cade Cunningham is the engine of this team, Grant.
Man, his vision and playmaking are crucial to the offense. Coach trusts him to make the right reads and set up his teammates. He has cut down on mistakes and is rounding into an elite point guard.
The Pistons have gone just 2 for 4 from the floor. Pass to Harris. Thompson outside. The 3. Oh, clanks that one. He's 0 for 1 to start. The Rockets have gone 0 for 3 from the floor to begin this one. Thompson against Brooks. Shoots over Thompson. And Brooks with a basket on the assist from Van Vliet.
Yeah, Brooks will just attack you without thinking anything of it.
Harris outside. Back to Cunningham. It's hauled in by Houston. They're moving on after the tough loss they took at the hands of the Warriors.
It was poor efficiency scoring the ball. They needed too many attempts to get their points.
Yeah, and I think they just seem to be a page behind, a step slower out there all game.
Now here's Cunningham. 23 points for him last game against New York.
And he didn't just put up big points. He beat everyone to the boards.
And that one drops.
Boy, this is the threat that Harris poses now. He's a scorer from every level. Inside, three-point land, and at the rim.
And Ime Udoka has called timeout. He's going to gather the troops and talk it over. Ivy's checked in for Thompson. And let's take a look at the first-year players who have really brought it on the offensive end. Here are the NBA's leading rookie scorers. Third is Amen Thompson.
And it's always hard to predict how easily young players will adapt to the league. But on the offensive end, he's really hit the ground running.
Well, you know, hey, as a rookie, it's always hard to earn the respect of coaches, but he's earned every minute he's gotten this season. Just a terrific offensive threat.
Now here's Şengün. He had a 21-point outing in their last game against Golden State.
It wasn't just the scoring. He got others involved, too.
All right, Grant, I have to ask you, has there ever been a more intimidating team than the old bad boy Pistons?
Well, they weren't fancy, but they played hard and they played physical basketball. Every team that faced those Detroit teams knew they were in for a battle.
Clock at 4. Deflected!
I mean, that was pure hustle by Van Vliet, giving his all to influence the shot and swat it away.
And he'll draw the foul. He'll head to the line for 2. That one on Harris.
First personal foul. First team foul.
And you know, Clark, Fred VanVleet gives you a number of things. Leadership might be the most important.
It is certainly one of his great attributes, B.A., when you look at Fred VanVleet. Not very big, not super athletic, but a winner. Tough-minded, and highly skilled. Doesn't make mistakes with the ball, gets other people's shots, and has proven to be a clutch and consistent quarterback at really high level. An NBA champion and all-star. Fred VanVleet's a guy every team wants because he's fun to play with and he plays the game the right way and with passion.
Both free throws good from VanVleet. And how about the Fred VanVleet story? From undrafted to all-star and NBA champion.
It's one of the remarkable journeys in the history of the league. There are a number of guys that have gone undrafted and ended up being all-stars and champions. But if you think about it, one of the things they have in common in my mind, B.A., is a real understanding of who they are and what it's going to take to be successful. And then the willingness to put in the work and not be distracted by naysayers or the glamour of being a pro. They've got a real anchoring as to who they are and what their business is about, and then they maximize their ability. That's Fred VanVleet in a nutshell.
Here's Schroeder after the basket by Houston. Beasley outside. There's the 3. Rebound by VanVleet. And here's VanVleet. He'll bring it up for the Rockets. They trail by 1. Last time they met was in Houston.
They were out-hustled on the boards the last time these teams met.
Yeah, and that turned the tide, the rebounding differential. They've got to focus and make it a team effort to really pound the glass.
And it's Detroit with the ball. After the basket by Houston. We've got 22 seconds left in the first. Here's Schroeder. And he wills that one in, sinking it right through the back of the iron. Now VanVleet, 17 points for him last game against Golden State. Smith with a screen on Schroeder. Here's VanVleet. The shot, no good.
Well, you've got to be there defensively. I mean, that's an easy mid-range jumper that he'll typically drain.
1 quarter in the books, and it's been a close one. The Pistons on top, leading by 1. Stay with us now as we get set to bring you quarter number 2 after this. Good action already in this one, but a fairly even matchup after this first quarter of play. And looking at what we've seen from Detroit, what do you guys think?
Well, it looks like hitting the boards hard was an emphasis of their attack. They knew how valuable it was to do so.
Yeah, and you know, when a team establishes an edge on the glass early, it really sets things up for the rest of the game.
Grant, there's a huge difference between talent on paper versus winning.
You're right, B.A., and it comes down to coaching, chemistry, and sacrifice. But I think the biggest thing is effort. All things being equal, the team that plays the hardest is going to win.
We've got Isaiah Stewart. Malik Beasley is out there with Thompson. Then there's Ivy, and it's Schroeder in at the 1. That's the group for Detroit right now. The Rockets trail. Now here's Holiday. Pass to Smith. Şengün in the post, covered by Schroeder. Detroit shooting a rough 29% from the field here. Three-pointer, Stewart. Always a nice way to start. Makes his first one.
You know, Beasley not trying to do too much or get too cute there. Just finding the open man in a simple fashion. Well done.
Şengün, a screen on Ivy. Here's Whitmore. And the layup is good off the glass.
Great timing and coordination. Lays it in coming off that